the tax on tobacco just ban it outright Because you're going to achieve TFR, but then you have people dying. What's the point? Net zero.
And if we can ban vaping, why can't we ban tobacco?
Exactly. Just ban it. Help people find other vices for them to vent out. Maybe subsidize high rocks and let them go.
At that corner where you're trying to promote this entrepreneurial spirit where people do more things, right? It must be seen as sexy, exciting, front and center, And I think that's the part that at this point in time, I don't know why we are, we're not very keen on it
And because the Singaporean pathway is that if you are good at exams, you have a very stable life, right? That is the Singapore dream. Do well in school, get a good job, get a BTO, or hopefully earn enough to not get a BTO. Problem solved. Good academics not enough, you need more. That's why life skill.
But that is the reality, and I think CPF has essentially saying that they are going to try to create an investment scheme. Any thoughts? Welcome to TFC Budget Debate. I'm your host Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut. And I know you look forward to this segment. It's one of our highest tuned in segment every year. And I tell everybody it's the only budget debate you need to watch, right? Because we really do our best to try to crack and understand the thing, and we don't just agree everything very good Yeah. So I'm joined with my gang of crazy people. So yeah. We're all here, to discuss this year's Singapore budget. So yes, Anthony.
Yes, hi everyone, Anthony here. I always come back for the budget debates. I think it's the one thing I want to join.
Hey, that's all? IPO Circle was quite fun.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yes.
I'm trying to sell IPO Circle. Yes. I think we will have more. Yes.
But this is the main one, right?
Yes,
it's about policy, but it's still about what's really going on, how and the picture the country is going, which is very important. So that's why I'm here.
And the middle class always got a lot of things to say.
Yes.
A lot of tax, not a lot of benefits.
The neglected people always have a lot of things to say.
They a platform to talk. So yes, welcome. And we're joined with our usual culprit, Adrian.
Hi everyone, I'm Adrian. Yes, the usual culprit. I hope I have more
the
things.
The one that always gonna ask cancer, make me very stressed. Every time you say
this session, like nothing to talk about to make myself cancer. I'll try my best.
You try your best. Yes, Adrian's back. Yes, and Ima?
Yeah, this is my first time here, and I was terrified when I was asked to do this because
why?
Because I hear budget, I think numbers, and that numbers are whoosh. But then social commentary. Okay, yes, I'm here for it. Let's talk about how the budget is going to impact everybody on the street.
Okay, great. So maybe for a start, right? I think you all have already teased a little bit. So just to kind of lay the ground, what are some of your broad feelings or comments after you listen to the budget, just to lay the ground?
I think as what many people feel, this is the post-election budget. So one did not really expect much, quite tame and all that. But of course, if you go into
details...
Okay,
that's the end of the debate. Thank you.
If you go into details, there are quite a huge significance. In my circle of people, of course, we would pick up something that's a bit, we thought this shouldn't be the case. Like, for example, SSG and WSG is coming together. For those of you who have not been around for 10 years back, they were actually one entity. It was called WDA, Workforce Development Agency. And then the minister back then, Ong Yi Kung, put up a Facebook post, which has not aged very well, about why they should be separated, blah, 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 and all that. So we have new mission, new KPI, etc. And then now come together. So I just hope that they will not spend $300,000 on a consultancy to decide what's the new name. And to realize, let's just call it WDA. Hey, all your brand guide already there. Don't waste money, please.
We just bring back the thing. On that note, right, since you brought it up, don't you think that there is some basis to split up an agency that's sometimes too clunky, to let them run for a while and then develop their individual capabilities and merge back? You know what I mean? Is there no upside in that?
We like competition, right? We are market economy, so we should split them up. They compete. Winner is the loser. Hunger Games.
Not house view. His own view. You talk to him. Yeah. But on that note,
I think that's a fair statement. But I also want to, of course, drill in to see exactly what are those KPI that's been achieved by splitting it. Because I think the issue that I always see year after year is we don't talk about what has been done. Like the things that we were mentioned 5 budget ago, 10 budget ago, what happened to those KPI? A lot of time when things are not achieved, just quietly fade into the background. I will hope that we can have an honest discussion. If it doesn't work, it's okay. We are all adults. Let's work together and make it better.
Fair. Yeah. So today I went to look at the deep ones. So later we'll get there. Yes, because when we first started doing budget debates, no one cared about this thing, right? It's a very small thing at the corner of the internet. But I think after a while, when people saw that this random bunch of people on the internet can get the traction, right? There's more and more coverage around this. So I put it upon myself that we will dig deeper. So I've read the full thing. Maybe not the 500 page lah, but I read good amounts of that full budget breakdown. Later I will share some thoughts. Yes.
Actually, I think Adrian brought up a good point that, things are in
This is a debate,
No, okay, I know. Wait.
This is a debate,
Wait. The spice is coming. The spice is coming. He brought up a good point that, some of the things are not talked about. And I think what is important for us to maybe take note is that the budget is a little bit about keeping things looking as they want it to look. So I don't know. I mean, here we go, the cancellation coming. How accurate it is.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, just because it's also a presentation, a show of these are some of the things we're looking at. These are trying to make you happy. Here are some vouchers. How much of that is truly accurate? I think that's why there's a debate, because there are many other viewpoints going around that will definitely say, yeah, no, it's nonsense.
Can you share a little bit? We will inch into your wheelhouse later, but yes, just give us a little bit, like, what do you think it's being said that it's not quite reflective of what you are observing, on the ground?
I mean, I'm not sure people really want to have more children. So I looked at the, what is the family and the social part, and there's a lot of emphasis on, okay, number one, parents, don't be a burden on your children when you get old. Please make sure you're settled. And that's why there are more benefits and there's money going to those people 50 and above now. And of course, looking at this lifetime CPF investment things, that's all a message to parents. Please, you are not to burden your children. And then for those who are younger families, to have a third child or have more children with all these new subsidies for childcare, it's again to say, can you please produce? So yeah, I think it's those are some of the things, but I don't know if that's necessarily resonant with what people actually want. Why do we have to be persuaded to have more children?
What about you? What are your thoughts?
I mean, Hiran makes a good point, right? Like, and that's why the budget is important.
So you're gonna stop at 2?
Nothing the government can give me. Short of millions of dollars, nothing.
We are done. Okay.
We'll proceed with the third one.
Okay.
Right, but it's a good point, and that's why the budget is important. It's about actions, not words. You see where they are putting their money towards, and not what they're talking about. So, taking again kids for example, it was last year, right? They shifted completely. We're trying to persuade the first kid. We're trying to persuade the second kid. It's like, actually, we don't care about the first kid anymore. They are hopeless. We can't save them.
They give out on the people with no kids.
Yeah, they give out on the people with no kids, right? So it's a bit of a sign of where they think they can try to effect change more than what they actually say. Like, I mean, we can all spin pretty stories, right? But it's about where they are putting their money, because that's the actual impact on them. There's no big change, right? It's a lot of steady as we go. We are within this framework. We are not going to break out of this framework. We just want jobs, right? Whether we are putting more money to early stage, whether we are bringing MNCs, it's all about jobs. It's not about creating a better life or fundamentally changing the structure of our economy to reduce inequality. It's just, okay lah, we're on this path, we just continue on this path, and we took things at the sidelines.
So the AI mission is not sexy to you?
The AI mission will achieve nothing. 5 years' time, we'll still be talking about it.
Can you profess?
No, genuinely. So, I mean, you look at technological change, right, across history. You look at the internet. These things don't really come from a top-down level, right? And I think the reality is that a lot of times you won't know what AI will be good for. You won't know what the jobs are coming up. I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, we're talking about everybody needs to go do coding, everybody needs to do computer science, hottest industry to go in, right? Now they're all getting replaced. Or the theory is that they're all getting replaced. So I think we have not been very good at reading tea leaves. We should maybe try not to read tea leaves, right? And create, and that's why I think it's about structural change, right? Create an environment where people are adaptable no matter what. right? So rather than force people down a direction,
Skills future.
no, but it could be skills future, but on a broader level, right? It's not just about a technical skill, and with AI, really, you don't need technical skill. Knowledge is commoditized. It's about all the other things around it that can make a business or a person successful, right? And is that something that skills future covers? No, because we are focused on technical skills, so we are going down the wrong path.
Okay, so I have a slightly different point of view to this, right? So I do think that it's going to be very hard to create models here or create very successful AI companies here by sheer fact of the size, right? And then the speed, and, just to get there. We're already like many eras back from an AI perspective.
No,
right? So,
we are bringing scientists back.
okay, but
We are throwing money at them, and they are not coming back.
Yeah, no, but I think there is something to say about like how back then when we were kids there were computer classes. Like in school because you already know that there's a structural change, right? Like computers are gonna be like everywhere. Everyone's gonna use a computer to work, to empower them to be relevant, right? And then be productive from a national standpoint, right? So I think that is the mission. Really kind of like not trying to develop new. Okay, and all this we're guessing, because now nothing is out yet other than our Prime Minister is going to personally chair it. Nothing else is out yet. But my guess is that it is about adoption, right? It's about really hand-holding, because I can tell you for a fact, internally within the team, we have a lot of tools. We buy a lot of tools, but not everyone is using at the same level of proficiency. Right, as much as we keep talking about it, and you really need this like one person that like solve the problem and like show the other party, hey, this one can be done this way. And then then that is I think where the mission is, really going and pushing through that training and change and getting people.
I agree, and maybe it's a bit either about the computer or the internet, right? But if you go back to that parallel. How much did learning how to type in primary school really teach you about using a computer? Right? Or how much did learning how to code a stupid video game in primary school, which I think I did, really teach you about a computer? Nothing. Right? Because what we are focused on is how to use it and how to use it. And this is why I think
it's simplification.
Yeah, it's simplification.
Because I judge the people that use the two fingers like that, type.
Yes, but they are... sorry.
Because they learn halfway.
But all the people who use two fingers to type that I see are more successful than me because they're all older.
Okay. No. But I think this is where the debate begins, right? I do think there is some level of adoption that can be nationally run as
so the free
scheme.
use,
Yes.
I think is important.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Everybody should have access to the tools.
Okay.
Right? But we shouldn't be prescribing how people use the tools.
Okay, fair. So yeah. So that's a little bit of the flavor. Now my turn for opening remarks. Okay, so I got a lot of opening remarks. So I think broadly we're gonna split this discussion to two parts. First part is the economic discussion, and then the second part is what we usually do, which is the social stuff, Okay, when I look at the part one, which is the economic discussion, I think there are a few broad strokes. Right, one big stroke is to continue to develop the capital ecosystem here, Essentially, we've already done some things with the EQDP, trying to get companies to trying to inject some vibrancy into the SGX, right? And you see all time high, right? I think in some ways you can really argue that works. But the last thing you want is a phantom market, right? So I think there's also something to be discussed there. Like you don't want it to be artificially inflated. So you gotta then solve the deal flow problem, right? So that you have vibrancy, solve that whole chunk. And I am of the view that we don't really need more money in terms of developing the other part of the capital space, because there is a lot of money in Singapore sitting around family offices, all sorts of investment mandates, all sorts of weird stuff out there. Oftentimes they have no place to go. So my view is it is a deal flow problem, right? But I think at this point in time, it is still seen as like, okay, we need more capital, we need to initiate this thing. Although at Block 71, they've already done this since so long ago, matching, 50-50, who invests like that, right? You are the venture fund, you put 50, the government put 50. It's like, wow. So those things already been happening. I think it's a deal flow problem. We can go into the discussion. But if you look at overall, capital infrastructure development is a big part of the policy strategies, right? And then, of course, AI as a discussion, I think it's more important to see it from an industry development type of thing, right? From a long time ago when they tell us aviation,
Biotech.
biotech, teaching, right? There were a lot of cycles of industry development, but for a few years, I think there hasn't been quite clear cut on like where are the industries that the nation is going to invest. But I think now there's clarity, right? So advanced manufacturing, connectivity, which means the port, the airports. Finance and healthcare, right? So I think these are clear signs of like if you want to make more money, you want to go into a growing industry. I think there is some sort of a bet on certain industries that are being made from a state level, and I do think there's something also to be said about EPSP, progressive wage model, essentially becoming an effective minimum wage, right? So it's like drawing the line, right? Then you keep seeing the line move, and the government of the day is not shy to keep adjusting it. This adjustment is quite active. It has been happening. I think every other budget there's some adjustment on this, like whether is it minimum wage, local qualifying salary, S-Pass, E-Pass, there's always adjustments. So these tools as a suite has already formed an effective minimum wage, and the government of the day has shown that it is very willing to keep adjusting it to meet its desired outcomes, which is higher salary for the people. And of course, there's some structural stuff around certain ministries spending more, spending less, and all that. So yeah, and of course CPF. So CPF we talk in part 2. Okay, so yes, on part 1, anybody has something to share about maybe whatever I just shared or whatever you observed from an economic development standpoint.
When you mentioned about the 50-50 thing, right, it really brought back a lot of memories because I was actually working around...
You were in the era where a lot of 50-50.
Yes, a lot of 50-50. As we were saying, I was just thinking, which of the company actually became big from this 50-50 thing? I cannot think of a single one there. I mean, name one if you can think of. I can't really think off the top of my head. Maybe there are. But it also speaks volumes, right, that this kind of thing just doesn't work. So you can continue to throw a lot more money into it, but it's very much spray and pray, instead of really trying to look at the source of this problem. Where exactly is the problem? Yeah, otherwise, like you say, like the phantom market, right? It is exactly what happened that time.
But I mean, isn't that a bit of a structural issue? Because how many successful Singaporean companies can you really think of?
Oh, that is also true.
Maybe Carousel,
right?
Grab,
Carousel, Grab,
Shopback, Shopee, maybe.
Yeah. That's the thing,
but
right?
that is a trend, right?
Yes.
There was a period of time when, because capital was so cheap and the market was so fragmented, and you can kind of ride on that, right? And then some people manage to ride on it, which is great lah.
But does that also mean that this kind of things cannot be engineered? It cannot be like forced marriage. Yeah, it just doesn't work. You need to create a better environment for people to come out, take the risk, and really, I don't want to work anymore. I want to become the next Sing Wong Hu, that kind of thing.
I agree, right? Because I'm an entrepreneur, right? So I totally understand what you mean. I've seen so many entrepreneurs, right? When they start, they'll try the first one, maybe right out of the university, or maybe like still in uni, they test it out, or maybe they moonlight doing army lah, right? So regardless, okay, no, I mean that don't kind of catch us, but that's the reality on the ground. You probably know, right? So there's that. Or then if it works, great. But oftentimes they will struggle to scale it much further because they are young. It's normal. You're not connected, and not everybody can learn, unlearn, relearn, and tahan the stress of that intense expo curve. So most of them end up, what do? They bring in experienced professionals in the industry or in parallel industry to then run it lah. So then they pass over, they become part of the board, they become the dominant shareholder. It's a common structure. Then there are those that first one maybe don't work, second one maybe don't work, then they will somehow hit at the third one. Okay, and there's increased success rate if you keep trying, right? But the problem is most of them don't try the third time because by then they're in their 30s. Right, you think of a gestation period for a company, right? 3 to 4 years is a minimum. Your first 1-2 years all test one, right? So by the 3rd year, 4th year, you kind of get a better sense of okay, what is the market, whether there's a fit and all that. Then you see whether you can outgrow in the 5th year, 6th year, right? You kind of go there. So how many 5 years does an individual have, especially when everything is tied to CPF, right? So I hear this so often, at Block 71, like, oh, this is my last gig. If it doesn't work, right, I'm done. Right, I need to settle down. I need to marry. I need to, have my kids is coming, so I need to get a job. Right, so that whole cycle, it is tied to risk incentive. Right, is because it's too risky to keep trying, so people stop trying. So ultimately, still tie back to deal flow. if not enough companies or not enough Singaporeans willing to join the meat grinder, then you must bring more people that are willing to like lease here lah, or like develop here and use this place as a base, right? And whoever that want to already done it in the past few years. You see companies like Awesome, some of the others, a lot of these companies that they come from spaces that are not as developed from a capital, legal, corporate structure. They all come here and they really do that thing.
I think we have an entrepreneurial pass.
Yes,
right?
yes.
That, if you get into an incubator, even if you're a foreigner, no problem. I give you an EP. You can come in and try it out.
Yeah, but also Bo.
To me, this is the wrong problem that we are addressing, right? We talk about entrepreneurship and all of that. You give more money to the VC funds or co-invest in the VC funds, there's very little point because the VC funds only want one thing. They want 1,000% returns in 10 years. And that means that, and with that, that means that you need scale, which we are in Singapore. You need to go regional from the very beginning, right? That's difficult. You need, you really need some expertise. Again, tricky. Then and it needs to be mostly software or AI, right? You can't do a hardware business. You can't do like a property business because you just won't get those
The
returns.
deep tech guys are struggling. So
from that perspective, if we are putting in $1 billion here, $1 billion there, but we are all going to the VC guys and saying we co-invest. I think that's, if we are trying to encourage entrepreneurship, that's maybe the wrong way to go about it. We can. No, maybe we should go back to a 50-50 model, right?
No. You know what I think? I think we should do? I think we should close down One North, pull One North to Shenton Way, put it in the heart of the city centre. There are some of these old buildings that very chacha already. They are depreciating exponentially as it goes along. We have money, right? As a nation, right? You can do parcel swap. Right? You don't even need cash, right? This one dying already. How about you give me, I give you
2 buildings outside.
Yeah, 99 years over there at the corner of Kallang, right? Yeah, not bad. Can sell Kallang River. You can make your money. I take back these 2 buildings from you and I will shift One North to the city centre. A lot of these things is about structural imprinting into the people, right? Then you see all these working professional, right? Very jaded, complain at the bar downstairs. Then they look at, wow, like, can they?
Wow, wear t-shirt and work, not bad.
Like, cool, right? You know what I mean? Wow, like, not bad, these people. Wow, looks like exciting. Then they keep organizing event in the heart of city centre. It's a big thing. Striking the impression into the people is a tougher job than throwing money at the problem, right? So I think that part needs to be discussed. We need to look at sacrificing some of this rental income, right, to really ignite that excitement and not tuck the people at the corner of the island. Right. Of course, you have your very deep tech ones. Okay, those are your research-based stuff, right? Those guys, they 不见天日, they don't see people.
You put them in Changi.
You can put them wherever.
Okay.
Changi lah.
You put them in the
Tuas
special
also no
economic
problem.
zone.
You can put them anywhere, right? Because they are professors, right? They are engineers. They are deep tech. They will be very focused. And then at some point, they need productization, then they will come out and hello, we are done. There's something. But for everyone else that is not at that corner where you're trying to promote this entrepreneurial spirit where people do more things, right? It must be seen as sexy, exciting, front and center. And I think that's the part that at this point in time, I don't know why we are, we're not very keen on it, right? And I was telling some of the government guys, right? You think of the Bencoolen belt, Nafa, that whole area, right? And there are a few HDB blocks there. And downstairs, all tuition center, all dance studio, all that. Because why the margins are there? You put a few glass, run a class, capex so low, 包赚钱, right? Why not take the whole place back and make it an incubator? Right, all your creatives, they can come out and run IPs. They develop IPs. They develop their product. You run fair after fair after fair, and then you see who works. Right, whichever work you productize, merge it with the IPOS people, move IPOS in, right, and then that is a whole.
IPOS is around the area anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, so that whole bit, right, can, so you know what I mean. I'm not saying we have to do that. What I'm saying is, if entrepreneurship is truly what we want, more money at it, it's not going to change it. Right, we need structural shifts for people to see it front and center and promote it.
It's the same reason why parents choose specific school for their kids. They want the influence day in, day out. Same thing.
Yeah. And entrepreneurs are too poor to take MRT. Really? I tell you, entrepreneur events are the easiest to do. Free pizza, they all come. Okay? Because there's no, so for One North, come down, go back $5, right? So it's a very intense. Sorry, that's how poor most entrepreneurs are. But you're trying to work for the upside, right?
That's where I would say that we should throw money, but we should be throwing money directly at the entrepreneurs, right? We don't need to go through the medium of a market VC fund that wants a certain thing, because what they want and the bets that they make might not be the same as the bets that the government wants to make, right? So, if this is a risk is an important thing, I wouldn't start my own business because I have a high paying job. Why the hell would I quit that to take a risk? If there was a basic income, right? Like just for me to survive, I would do it. Right? Because and you throw money at the entrepreneur.
The problem is your basic too high.
No, so not me. Right?
Yeah,
And of course it will be gamed and all of that. But I mean, we are doing a spray and pray approach anyway, right? Why don't we try something different? Right? Why does it always have to go through a middleman and then we hope for the best because these third parties know the ecosystem best? I don't think that's really the case. If we are putting public money, we should be for public use.
Yes. Agree. Any thoughts?
I think on the basic income part, right, I speak to so many people. If they were to, I always ask them, if you think of basic income and you were to use it yourself, what would you do? Oh, I would go and learn something. I would set up business. I'll do that. And do that. Oh, what if your friend gets it? You're going to take drugs lah, get drunk and all that. So every one of us has that very cynical viewpoint, but actually if the money is in your pocket, you will do the best for yourself lah. So to that point. But I think really the market size we have here is also negatively impacting the entrepreneurs here. I have many friends who are in their 40s. They are maybe halfway into their startup journey. At 40 years old, it's very hard, to play the startup game. It's really a huge struggle, but they still have to keep at it. Still have to raise fund, and then every time you raise fund, another target. So when's the end game? 40 years old, I really cannot take it anymore. And these are the companies that if you really put your resources into, they can really scale. They can fly the Singapore flag. So I think it's a matter of whether the government is willing to take that long game. You will not have immediate KPI one. It's not like, we open, this company open new factory in Tuas, 2,000 headcount. It's not going to be like that.
That's an MNC game.
No, but even the MNCs don't bring 2,000 jobs.
Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that later.
Recently got Micron, 1,006.
Okay. I agree with you. Yeah, I think that calls for that adjustment, essentially how we look at this thing, and essentially what we want to do is we want a Jensen Huang, right? Right, we want, because you see Jensen Huang single-handedly raise the average income of Taiwan, right? So you look at have you looked at some of the numbers? Yeah, I was like, why is Taiwan keep like rising? It's like, Nvidia lah, what else, right? And TSMC lah, right? So you want that type of like bursting growth, right? But you can argue that they also caught it.
Yeah, I think
right?
one is they caught a wave and they needed to wait 25 years, right? And they needed a whole ecosystem around them.
Yes.
Right?
There's
you really need to support your champions.
Exactly.
I don't think we are able to corral the locals to support our champions enough.
That's not how we want to live our lives. I mean, you're right about perceptions, right? Want to live our lives in a certain way, which is also why we're not having the children, but it's also why we're not doing the entrepreneuring thing.
We must make Tuas sexy again.
Yeah. Why never make t-shirts for us to wear?
What about the other part about SPEP, progressive wage model? Any thoughts on that?
It's definitely in line with what you mentioned. It's increasing bit by bit. I actually shared it straight with my wife, who is in HR. And then the immediate reaction is, actually different industry got different quota one. So there is still some way for you to navigate and work around it. I think it really depends on the problem that they're trying to solve here, because at that kind of rate, you can argue, some people may be out of it, some people may be inside it. Ultimately, for the men and women on the street is, how does this affect my employability? And of course, in a good way. Yeah, does this mean more jobs, less competition? I think that is the kind of narrative where more dots got to be connected for us to see the visibility.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, when I saw it, I could already see the rage comments coming, like how can foreigners be paid so much more? But when you look behind it, I think it's also about, companies can't pay the foreigners more, so they're now going to have to go local. So we're going to have to see where it trickles down into.
Which may not also be the case, because now we can always hire remotely, right?
That's also a thing.
So it may reach a point where, screw it, I just hire in Philippines, hire in Malaysia.
So maybe last comment on Skills Future. You're our Skills Future warrior.
Skills Future ambassador.
Before we, Skills Future ambassador.
So I'm glad to hear that the website is finally getting revamped after so many years.
It's really hard to navigate, right?
It's so hard.
Does it work? You think it's important?
Yes, it is.
Okay, user experience, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's just so many things. It's like it's like going into a Hong Kong cafe, 200 items on the menu, you just walk out because you cannot decide. And I think in today's time, you cannot have the patience to go through exactly what is the pathway, which is the one to take first, and level 2, level 3. You just want to go to somewhere, tell me what is the first thing I need to do. Yeah, tell me to turn right here, turn left there, and that is what people want. But of course, no one there to make that instruction because I cannot guarantee that after you go all through all this, you can actually get a job. But still, someone has to try. And if the government has the foresight, we're going to put money into advanced manufacturing, that's going to boom, then maybe to guide people more into that direction. I think that is a great first step. But of course, the merging part, I guess it depends on the mandate. Difference between all my WDA friends last time worked there was, deja vu.
We're back in business.
So I guess it depends on the mission that they have there. But I think maybe it would be a bit more rounded, because for the longest time, the complaint on the street is, you ask me to spend all my skills future credit, take this, take that, doesn't translate to jobs. So I guess the optics is, by coming together, we are hoping to provide you with that true train support. So from getting yourself certified, skill up, and then how it would lead you to the job market, and then for you to become fully employed.
I think the place and train staff need to do more. That one I don't hear much this round, right? I personally believe that is the better way than just blind skills training, because ultimately, okay, our education system when you're younger is a filter system. But at some point, after the filtering is done, everyone else need to be empowered and equipped to get a living, right? So as you move up and go to the higher, so-called the later parts of life, right? It's really very pragmatic. It's not about acing the exam to be a scholar. It's now about, okay, can I capture this thing and reposition myself into the next growing industry or stay relevant in my current industry? So it's very pragmatic, right? And who is the most pragmatic? The business is the most pragmatic, right? So place and train, I think, is a stronger thing, but I don't hear much of this round. That means there's no adjustments, and some of the WSG program are sunsetting, for some of these things. So I'm a bit concerned. Personally, I have committed to quite a few people through this place and train process, because after a while they get stuck in your ops. It plays you 8 months, 9 months, they get entrenched in your ops. Even if this role is you test, you will try to add something else into that role and then keep the person, because they're already entrenched. If they're not good, then so be it, right? Then maybe it's a wrong culture fit, maybe they need to adjust. But I think the efficacy of a place and train model is much stronger. And for a lot of the smaller SMEs, right, I think it's very helpful. Yeah, but I will leave that discussion to the SME Tauke Reacts. Okay, we will not expand it here.
I will ask you a question that you can ask later.
Okay.
How much of this is just cheap labor that you can make a use of, and how much of it is really genuinely trying to find employment? Right? Because from a very cynical view, it can always be, look, the government subsidizing an employee for 9 months. I will take them. It's so much cheaper. It's a bit like an intern, really, and they could be experienced and all of that. And after the subsidy falls away, and so be it, bye bye. I don't really need you, right? So how much of it is really something that leads to actual jobs and proper jobs, and maybe hopefully proper pay raises, and how much of it is just got subsidy I take.
To be fair, right, subsidies is not a very friendly thing. It takes very long to get the subsidy. So for a lot of businesses, right, they know there's a clawback process, so there's a delay to the cash flow, right? So oftentimes, if they take on somebody, right, they already they try, right? I don't think it's as cynical as, this is just cheap labor, let's take on. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, right? So, but anyway, that one I will leave the SME Taukes to react. So check out in the 2 days time, you will hear them. Yeah, okay. So I think like I said, right, because I think more and more coverage, these days about budget. So I did spend a lot more effort in trying to dig deeper to read into the details of the budget rather than just listen to PM talk, right? So some food for thought for everybody, and maybe if you have comments, you can let me know. I think most people didn't realize that in the past 5 years, right, our revenue actually doubled, okay? So from 67 billion to close to 130 billion in our estimates, okay, for the coming year. So that is quite crazy, right? The doubling of revenue, and corporate tax actually doubled to about 35 billion. GST doubled to 21 billion. That's why a big kangkor, right? All this is extraction, right, from the wider circulation, and then I think for a lot of the middle class, which we can talk about, is you can forget about the car already, right? So The vehicle quota, the tax essentially quadrupled to 8.6 billion. All right, that's why everybody feel like the car is out of reach. It is correct lah, and it's estimated to continue to stay high. So the long and short of it is the COE price is the new normal. Yes, then most people will be priced out lah. So more Grabs, more car sharing, more MRT, right? So that will be the realities of the middle class, right? And maybe one last thing that stood out to me in this looking at the budget breakdown is that actually asset taxes have doubled to 6.9 billion, which means we have effectively raised about 3 billion from non-owner occupied properties. Right, because remember a few years ago, there was this whole thing about non-owner occupied, essentially trying to highlight, segregate the property that you stay in and the investment property, right? So from that investment property pool in Singapore, which essentially is a capital depository reservoir, we have extracted, more than 3 billion. Like we have raised that to additional 3 billion from 5 years ago,
And we can extract more.
and I think we will.
No, I mean, you look at the wealth report, right? That's
Yes,
the occasional report that came out a few days before the budget, right? The top 20th percent, the 20th percent of Singaporeans has 5.3 million positive net worth, right? And 3.3 million of that is property. How many properties is that? I mean, okay, it's one very nice one, or two or three lah.
Yeah. Fair. And you start to see this hereditary, inequality thing that's coming in, right? So you see it more and more of the sentiment on the ground already shows. I think some of my property agent friends are saying that, last time all these houses is the surgeon, and the lawyer, the lawyer.
Now the lawyer cannot find anything.
Exactly. Will come and buy the house. But then now got two weird guys look like they just come after work. They also can buy the house. Because the father, mother passed down 5 million to them. So they need to top up a bit. Right? It's like,
They still take a loan as much loan as they can get.
whatever. They max out. They still can get it. So the competition has changed. Essentially, this whole estate hereditary thing, right, is gonna be around, and it looks like it's gonna be more. So that is very, very, very interesting. Let's move on to part 2. I have more fun facts later, so stay for fun facts. right. These are important, juicy fun facts, right? So I have more fun facts later. There's this one minister that managed to cut his operating budget, by 75%. Every other ministry is an exponential curve up. The ops budget.
Can give a bit of hint.
No hint. Stay to the end. No hint. Stay to the end. I'll tell you. Okay. So let's move to part 2 to talk a little bit about this social family. I think that's how we usually do it. So open comments. Anybody? CPF can tahan a bit. Right, but yes, is anything that stood out to you?
Every year, as a parent of 4 kids, I try to pay more attention to all the benefits and stuff.
Wait, do you still get benefits?
I think I still do, at least for
because
this year.
usually it's the new one, right? Or
The new one,
do
yes.
they don't backdate,
But this year
right?
they have the
They got a
live
child.
SG thing.
Yeah.
So I still qualify that. But for the past few years, I more or less give up already. Because I realized once they know, you have 4, okay, go behind. don't take up my time.
Thank you, mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Yeah.
You can't give them back. It's okay.
Here's a thank you card. My wife, when she was hearing this, she was like, wow, only new kid expensive, meh? Older kids not expensive. Older kids lagi expensive, So again, all those are not there.
Next time we must bring all the wife on the show.
Yeah,
A lot of things to
exactly.
say.
That's an observation. But I believe it was Gan Kim Yong who mentioned a few weeks or a month ago about we must face this new reality. Immigrants, we're going to require more immigrants and all that. So I think that's also a signal that I think, okay lah, I think let's accept that, we are not going to turn around the TFR lah. So just accept the fact that there'll be more immigrants. And if that's going to be the case, then the more that they're going to reduce the tap, right, on new kid lah, baby bonus and all that, because it just doesn't work. And it's a fact. We've seen it in many different countries. It just doesn't work. To really motivate a parent to have kids, to bring them up to 20 years old, support them throughout their life journey, go through all the nonsense, which I've done it 4 times, it's really not easy. It's something that...
I will send this to your kid. Chinese New Year when they come to us, you see what Papa say.
It's really a tough job. So no amount of money can really encourage parents to do it otherwise. And a lot of them... And actually, if you think about it, having lesser would make you even more stressful. Because when you have less, you try to give them the best. So you see parents on weekend go to wherever, tuition lah, after tuition, violin class, after violin class, taekwondo, so on and so forth. So I think to that note, people just give up already. So I don't expect to see much more on that. So it's really on yourself, and we just make up the deficit with all the immigrants coming in. But I do hope that the government will be more embracing of younger immigrants, because those are the ones that can assimilate into our culture better. Yeah, because they've gone through our education system and all that. I read this post from the daughter of a Gurkha. Because of the 20, 30-year contract, got to go back, cannot get PR, anything. So, I mean, these are people who can already speak Singlish. She go back Nepal, she's like a foreigner. So these are people that we should really embrace, not just the Fu Tai la, the $1 billion child from wherever la, to make up for the numbers.
The Fu Tai comes from one place.
Yeah la. I was holding back la, but you say already.
No, but recently I saw this viral, like a lot of the schools these days, they all open house, whatever, then they'll record the videos, right? So sometimes it will hit into your feed, right? Because it went viral. And then there was this Angmo girl, that speaks like Singlish. And then the comment section was like, Singaporean fully downloaded. I was like, okay. Yeah, no, but I don't disagree. So I think on that note, right, it is something to be said about the speed of immigration. And I think we made a mistake over the past 2 decades. I feel we made a mistake because we allowed the flow too quickly. So when you allow the flow of people from different, and this one not I randomly say one, I've met enough people, all your, different, like, I cannot name who, but I've met enough people, they themselves internally, they know they made some mistakes, right? Which you flood in, 20, 30,000 people from different nation and they call it feeder countries, right? To fit in here, you essentially allow them to create a cultural enclave. Right, so you start to see certain areas being cut out Floral Drive, Changi Floral Drive, even Chinatown, certain corners is cut out already, right? So you start to see these things, and I'm not saying is right or wrong, right, or good or bad, but if our goal is assimilation, if our goal is for everybody to be this arbitrary idea of a Singaporean, right, then this is problematic. Right, it's not going to work. Right, so we need to adjust flows. We need to adjust the time when they join. So that, like you said, right, they move up the education system. I think Lee Kuan Yew said it a long time ago, right? If they join very young, they can assimilate. Then the next generation will be a Singaporean, right? So, but if we keep bringing in, truckloads from feeder countries, too fast, then we'll continue to see this social friction. Right, we'll continue to see this as we go along.
But I think we have to draw a distinction, right? Are we talking about like who we let in as Singaporeans and PRs, or are we talking about people who we let in as EPs? Because they're very different.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I have lots of, like, EP is pretty much salary based, right? No racial quota, whatever. PR, the unspoken part is that there is a bit of a quota, right? So when we are talking about this sort of, they're creating enclaves and all that, it's not really who we are letting in as Singaporeans and PRs, right? It's really the EPs. And I think it's quite a function of our government that we tend to create a lot of rules and a lot of requirements for assimilation when you are already in and not when you are still part of the outgroup. And that's kind of defeats the purpose, right? Because you want to assimilate everybody. Right? You want to stay at HDB, you need to meet CMIO. You want to, but if you're renting, who cares? You are EP, who cares, right? You are transitory. so I think that's kind of that if we want to create that pathway, we want people to come and stay for good, we really need to think about how do we assimilate. And if we are letting people come in and stay for good, should we, instead of judging purely by where they have come from and what they look like, should we also look at what they have contributed, right? Or how they have lived, right? Like, we can have lots of people who come in and stay at River Valley forever and will never move out, and they'll never step into a HDB block.
He used to stay at River Valley. So you got a lot of things to say about that.
I recently went to Valley Point for breakfast with a friend, right, who's white. I stepped out, I was like, I'm still a minority here. Leaving aside the wait staff, right? Leaving aside the wait staff.
You feel more vibe with the wait staff, right? Yeah, I feel very vibe with the wait staff.
I vibe with the wait staff more than everybody else around me.
The kids crawl around us and like, what is this place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what the lived reality is like. We can argue about whether that's what it should be or shouldn't be, but that's the reality, right? And maybe we don't need to change, maybe we do, but if we do want to change it, then it's not really about Singaporeans, PRs, and kind of creating that mix. It's about
the whole thing.
It's about the whole.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like today, as an average Singaporean, you walk around, right? The PR got no PR on their face, right? right? You know, so there's not like, oh, this one is PR, okay, we need to be together. This one is a EP, you know, never mind, they don't assimilate, it doesn't matter. It's a whole the fact that this, you know, friction, you're seeing more and more of this friction, right? Through all sorts of, you know, reporting, all sorts of like, okay, maybe I spent too much time on the internet, all sorts of TikTok videos, you know, all these things that are like, you know, really showing that there's a lot of friction on the ground because of this like us and them type of situation, right? For extreme simplicity, okay, us and them. That's the fundamental of how all this friction is really defined, right? It's a lot about like suddenly there's all sorts of people that you don't feel like is part of you on this island. Doesn't matter whether they're PR, right? So even the weekends when all these foreign workers will come out and you take over certain areas, right? And then, I mean, if I'm a foreign worker and I make that type of money, right? I also bo pian lah. There's no other places I can go, right? I have to take the tree downstairs. I get it, right? But it is really creating a lot of social friction from a lived experience of an everyday Singaporean, not the ones that are tucked at, you know, Bukit Timah, you know, apparently
they want to have their own land.
They want to got own Serene Center, you know, not that type, you know, like the everyday Singaporean. Like weekend, everybody tell me I'd rather go Waterway Point than go to Orchard, you know, right? The type of energy is very weird, lah. But I think it's not difficult to understand because, you know, the big swaths of the city centre is taken up.
And this is actually good for the government, right? Because if they can encourage this assimilation, if we can remove that barrier between us and them, they can import more migrants, they can import more workforce. Nobody will ever complain, right? The reason people are complaining now is because there is friction. So if we can remove that friction and, you know, try to and make more people assimilate, I say make instead of let them assimilate, then the government doesn't even care about TFR anymore, right? The government, never mind, I just import people, it's fine.
No, you can one stone kill two birds. So
yeah.
For anyone who is going to be a Singapore citizen or PR, right? Another qualifier is Dai must have 3 kids. And must marry a local, especially for FO people. Must marry a local so that you can really pass that generational wealth to, you know, to benefit Singaporean.
I'm not voting for you. But that's the idea, like we throw it out there on the internet. Yeah, Ima, anything?
I just think it's about how do you want to live. Like even through the budget, we're hearing, please, we're giving you subsidies so you can have more children so you can go to work. But actually, how do you want to live? If you are a parent, I think most of the time you would like to spend some time with your kids. You don't actually really, I don't know, but you might regret missing out on those important points in their life, right? If you only have a short period of time in the evening and then weekend we're going to 100 million enrichment classes. You know, when we talk about AI, we talk about productivity, actually, how do you want to live? What's important to you? Yes, there will be some part of you that will be chasing wealth and chasing what you think is success. And eventually what you might realize is what's important to you is spending time with the people that matter, your physical health, your emotional and mental health, which maybe you don't get by adhering to what, you know, the narrative is around you. And maybe that's not addressed in the budget or the policies so much at the moment.
It definitely isn't. I mean, like, we know, right? We know, like our lived experience on the ground is we have X amount of things that we think we want, you know. Ultimately, it's also a feeder, right? You are fed certain ideas. You are slaves of your time, right? You know, you believe certain cultural ideals, right? So we are fed certain ideas and we believe in them. But then when we look around us and the systems and like 很像 like not like that matching, right?
Yeah.
That matching, right? So there's a bit of
like,
that dissonance.
Where is the AI to help me do my housework and look after
I
my
saw
children,
that TikTok
right?
video.
I mean, like,
This housewife cleaning the shelf.
Exactly.
When is AI taking over my job?
Exactly. That's the one, right? You know, that's really, I think that's what people really want.
So how about we change a little bit on that front, right? Because candidly, there's not a lot of new things discussed on the social front this round. Okay, so there's not a lot of new things. Whatever is whatever, and I think we've already gone through and have a good laugh on all that. We'll get to CPF, okay? But you know, other than CPF, there's really not much adjustments there. So if let's say today you were given a platform to initiate some sort of policy, you know, or like something that you want to push, you know, don't need to be very developed, you know, like just like some idea that you want to push, you know, in the social realm, like where would you want to push? Cap tuition fee.
No. I need to set them on more tuition.
More tuition, cap tuition.
I mean, I would say the right to disconnect. right, and a right to log off.
Right to disconnect.
So,
oh my God.
And that's French, right? So there is a precedent somewhere. Not great, but there's a precedent somewhere. But I don't know, and to your point, right? I mean, I have 2 young kids, and also your point that the government has tried and they cannot, and they have not succeeded in raising TFR. I think they have just approached it and from the wrong lens, right? They have just come and said, I throw money at the problem because this is a material problem. When we all, I think you will know, and I will know that it's not really a material problem, right? It's about the time, it's about the energy, and we are just unwilling to try to solve the issue, right? And that to me is the gist of it. Or like, if I could have as good or maybe slightly worse life, but more time with my kids, I might have a third one. Right, but now, I mean, 2, I already have my hands full. My wife has quit a job, right? So we all already have our hands full, and that's still not enough. How am I ever going? Like, you give me another 10,000, it's not going to help. It's not going to move a needle because that's one off. 10,000 does not last me 20 years. We are no longer, in the 1960s, right?
This is a middle class speak, the middle upper class speak. Okay,
upper middle.
Upper middle.
If I say I lower middle, I'll get
The data already show that you're not. Okay, follow our Instagram. You see all the data charts. Yes.
Don't see the post about how much I spend on my kids.
Yes, don't. That one you hate him, slap him.
But I think that's the issue, right? Like you want people to have more kids, you want people to enjoy time and to enjoy their life. There needs to be that delineation between work and life. And we are just, for whatever reason, unwilling to approach the problem from that lens. So, but that would be the one thing that I would push for, and I think would actually help quite a bit.
I remember speaking with a cabin crew when I was in India, and he was working in logistics last time, and he was, of course, complaining about his job, just like every one of us. But one thing he said, one thing I like about flying is when I end work, I end work. And I really, it really hit me because that's really something I think everyone will appreciate. Then you have more time to do other stuff. But to the question, I think really trying to manage the kind of...
I give you a tougher job. Today you're the Minister of Social and Family. What will you push for family,
Actually, on that front, I quite like that what Australia is doing, no social media for kids.
No social media.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I think the amount of FOMO is getting way out of whack. You
observe it in your kids?
I observe it, yes.
Is it exponentially worse?
It actually gets worse when they are stressed out, which you never know when's the trigger. It could be in school, the friends sell her and all that. And then they would just be buried in social media. And it just it just snowball. It doesn't end one. And actually what I wanted to say earlier on was, let's stop that, the tax on tobacco, just ban it outright. Because you go and achieve TFR, but then you have people dying. What's the point? Net zero.
And if we can ban vaping, why can't we ban tobacco?
Exactly. Just ban it. Help people find other vices for them to vent out. Maybe subsidize high rocks and let them go high rocks or something.
Active SG, bigger gyms. Yes.
So we all know that smoking is bad, right? I also smoke occasionally, but which only happen during festive period. So I think that's one. But back to your question, I think really the kids part would be good to look at. Yeah, and even I think New Zealand had this cigarette ban where if you're born at certain year and above, then you cannot get access to cigarette. So progressively, everyone will be phased out.
So the old people who likely to get cancer, just die lah. 算了.
Yeah, I mean, they're just 1-2 year difference. No much of a diff.
Not a house view.
Okay, I take MOE.
Okay. You shall be MOE, yes.
It is because I think that to get to where we want to be with all of this, it has to be started. We have to inculcate it into the young. At this level, I think we know, but we can't make it happen. So they're going to be the ones to make it happen. So let's make people know how they want to live intentionally, right? If it is that you want to chase wealth, then you do that. You know what you're giving up, or you know how to assess it for yourself, so that when you've decided, okay, now it's not what I want anymore, and I'm going to do something different. You know how to move into all of those things. Like, start thinking around it. I mean, I think we talk about a lot how school doesn't give us life skills. So maybe let's do that. Let's not make it so academic, because anyway, AI is taking our jobs. So let's make it about life skills and how we think.
On that point, right?
Here we go.
I have a lot of sympathy for MOE because I feel like a lot of their policies are a reaction to parents.
Yes.
Right? My ideal is that if I started a business, it would really be kids focused and it would really be about life skills, right? Who cares about academics? Because knowledge is commoditized in the AI world, right? So it's about the soft skills and all of that. And frankly, that is how a lot of even corporate jobs succeed. You don't succeed based on, deep technical skills. You succeed based on how you get along with people, right? So that to me will be something I want to focus on for my kids. But no Singaporean parent or very few Singaporean parents will ever pay for it.
Yeah, I'm sure your kids also go for tuition lah.
No, they don't.
Oh, they don't? Okay,
No,
amazing.
no academic tuition.
All right.
Still on the TFR, then I think MOE and MSF should merge. So I only listen to
Enough of
parents.
mergers,
I only listen to parents with 3 kids and above. You 1 kid
You're not our TA.
No, I mean, it wasn't to slam MOE in any way. I do think it's an extremely difficult way. It's so difficult to balance. I do agree but it's because of us or, generally the people, because we see it as we have to push for academics. And even though we've allegedly cancelled exams, they're not actually cancelled. They've just been given new
Rehashed.
names.
Yes.
No, and because the Singaporean pathway is that if you are good at exams, you have a very stable life, right? That is the Singapore dream. Do well in school, get a good job, get a BTO, or hopefully earn enough to not get a BTO. Problem solved. Good academics not enough. You need more. That's why life skills.
So now I think we can move into high gear for CPF. I never expected CPF to be so centrally featured, in this round's discussion, I think. But luckily we kind of planned for this a little bit. So we have one other panel that's going to talk about like how anxiety, is like long-term structural anxiety of the middle class, right? And retirement adequacy is a big part, right? So, but to right, so I think we got hit on the nail, like everything we jackpot, all the topics that we want to talk about. But I think
we studied.
Yeah,
well.
we studied it.
Good
we
exam
know,
skills.
we know what's going on.
Spot questions.
Yeah. No, but I think before we talk about CPF, I do want to add another thing that has been kind of released before this adjustment, right? Which is how household income now also include non-work related income, right? And it showed that there's an increment, blah, 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 right? So for me, I know some skeptics on the internet were saying, is it because the household income never go up? So you need to bring in this thing to look like go up. Okay, that is not my pasar, okay? I'm very open to let MOM kind of talk or, let MOF kind of talk. If they have some position they want to share insights, go ahead. But I think more importantly, it is in some ways a silent admission that more and more people, in order to live a quality life, have to be reliant on the capital markets. Right, like it or not, okay? It's like if you think of the AI as a big wave that's gonna lose a lot of jobs, I would say help a lot of people lose jobs. Sorry, it's gonna,
which is also true.
It's guaranteed. Yeah, we will never be an outlier on that, right? So a lot of people are gonna lose jobs. We'll go through this whole process of maneuvering to try to restructure our overall labor force. Everything is going to be dragged out much longer. And there's a very good chance that your peak career, because now if you look at the income stats, right, you're prime at 45. That's your peak, for median income salary. Yeah. And after that you come then you come down, right? As to why you come down, that's a different story, right? Maybe you career switch or whatever, right? But I would think that there's a very good chance that this thing might come back even shorter, and the peak and trough will be even tighter. By virtue that AI is going to do so much more. So, and that is why, there's this adjustment in measurement. Adjustment in measurements are never simple, okay? It's always complicated in trying to understand what's going to happen. And then shortly after, CPF announced that we're going to run the investment scheme. So, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so, yeah, so a lot of FA will be out of job. No.
Not FA, it's the robos.
Yeah, some robos that target the CPF worker. Okay, CPF. Yes, this is the main thing, right? So CPF is going to run its own investment scheme. Okay, in some ways, I think it's a learning of CPF life where the government run its own annuity program and to quite good success, and with strongly diminished profit incentive, right? So it's a lot of cost saving on the people. And I think now they have somehow muscled some confidence to say that, okay, because this is a chatter that has already been ongoing, right? Now they have muscled some confidence to say that, okay, we are going to do something about this investment scheme, because most of you that invest yourself lose money. This one not I say one.
I also lose.
Yeah. This one is the stats from CPF. CPF came out with the stats, and most people...
But these are very early years.
Yeah, a long time ago when
when before the robos, I get it.
Yes.
Now?
So most people do it before
Yeah.
the robos, right? So your own self pick your stock lah, buy the Singtel lah, buy all that. Sorry, I'm not saying who but that was a long time ago, right? And then all the high cost unit trust and a lot of people underperform, in through the years lah, right? But and that's what the CPF report suggests. Most people actually underperform the 2.5 and 4%, interest rate. Okay, don't judge. Maybe our
Never
corner
listen to our podcast.
Yeah, I must listen to the show. Okay, yes. But that is the reality, and I think CPF has essentially saying that they are going to try to create an investment scheme, right? So, any thoughts?
Looking back at history, right? I think this was the loss making thing was a report from a few years ago. That to me that was a problem of not enough products because your OA has a limited set of products. Your SA even more limited. And your SA products are limited to like bonds. So how can you beat 4% with purely bonds? Right? It's quite ridiculous. Your OA is very, very limited and it's more fun. And I feel like people lost money because it's limited to Singapore stocks and very blue chip Singapore stocks and things like that. Whereas now the world has changed, right? We have the robos coming in, taking a slice of the pie, sure, with their 0.3 or 0.2% annual charge, but they are allowing you direct exposure to world ETFs, right? So from that perspective, okay, obviously these people will always lose to the world ETF because they are getting a platform fee, right? And so theoretically that's correct. But I would think that, I've invested my CPF away for the past 7 years. I am way above the 2.5%, right? So I don't quite know, and this is just all world ETF. So I don't quite know how people are losing money. This is a good thing, right? It's the government being paternalistic again, saying that, look, we all need CPF for retirement. This is the cornerstone of our model. You need to invest. You can't just rely on 2.5% because in the age of disruption and all of that, 2.5% is too low. I cannot afford to give you more because I cannot guarantee more.
That is one angle we're going to talk about in the next podcast.
Right?
Yes.
So all of you have to go take market risk lah. And I will help you take market risk and hopefully cut the middleman fees down. Right? The problem is I don't see how much more they can cut down because the robos are already very cheap. And the robos also give you advice, and if you go to the robos, they give you a very default portfolio based on your age and your risk profile. So what more is CPF adding to this process? I don't quite know.
Yeah. But I think you are self-select, right? If you arguably, right?
Arguably
we've been in this space for so long. We know that there is always a bunch of people at the corners, which is the self-select DIY guys that knows a little bit more, spends a lot more effort into these things so that you can then pick the right thing rather than be choke by someone else,
But I feel like this might lead to a different problem, right? Because our CPF, especially OA, is also used for housing and used for many, many different purposes. Not all of them are suited for long-term equity investing or for life cycle investing. Who is going to give this person advice as to whether they should put their money into this scheme or not? Because once the government comes out and says people think that it's safe, people think that it's default. But if you are going to say, I have a BTO, I need to pay for my BTO, I need to save up for a house in 4 or 5 years, should you put it here? I don't think so, right?
No, then very simple. The CPF IS qualifying sum will go up, right? So,
maybe.
It'll be like 150,000 above, then you can invest, or whatever, like 100,000 above, then you can invest, right? So then you will roll from there.
You will always have that base.
There was always at the base that you can put your down payment, all that, right? So we assume that that's the life choices of Singapore, but that is a fair discussion. Yeah. And we will talk more, in the next podcast. We'll get there. Yes. Any thoughts, CPF?
I think as someone who has been burned, and I got burned in 2004 lah. So this was decades ago when the whole thing just came up and then all your friends suddenly come and reach out to you. Hey, you didn't know you can now invest your CPF. And of course, you just blindly follow.
And no friends already
after
after
because
that.
of that. Yeah, no friends already. Yeah, and also because of that, there's this fear factor. And I think it may also happen to many people. I better don't touch that. I just let there be 2.5, so everything will be safe. But I think with that assurance, some assurance from the government is always welcome. And I think with we all know the inflation rate and all that, we always want to look for something more. So it's definitely something welcoming. And if it's there, I definitely would want to, don't mind trying again lah, despite the PTSD lah.
Yeah, since we're not teaching it in school, since we're not teaching it in school, we have this as kind of a band-aid, but not quite, because it's going to build into something else for sure. I think for those who don't really understand investing, which is quite a lot of people, it's going to be a useful thing for them to dip their toes in the water.
I think at the end, it's just all about the structure lah, right? Like what are you setting up for the people and what's the assumptions, that are involved. But for people like you are not important in that scheme.
Hey.
You're not important in that scheme, right? But I think the main thing is still that, essentially we're seeing that this is becoming a bigger need, a bigger problem, and then the government has kind of muscled sufficient confidence to say that, okay, we will come in and provide, the market is ready, right? So I don't think it's going to be a very innovative product, but it's just more like structurally you organize it so that everybody goes through the same few buckets, right? And then you go from there.
What I want to see is where they're going to put this money. I mean, life cycle just means equities bonds, right? Is a part of it going to be allocated to the SGX? Because that proves liquidity, right? And once you have more liquidity, more people want to list, it becomes that virtuous cycle again. So I feel
but
like...
I don't want to take my pension money on that.
I mean...
but you know what I mean, right?
I know what you mean. But at the end of the day, this could be part of it as well, right? Is that when they create that product or when they tender out for that product, if you have a 30, 40... I mean, you don't need 100%. 30, 40% allocation of your equity portion into the SGX, there is a lot of money. Right, there's so much money in CPF always that are locked up. That's not used for housing. So why don't we use that? We put more liquidity into our own market lah. Then it creates that nice network effect for all of the other things that we want to do, right? That people can list. Like I want to sell my SGX stocks. I mean, it's a relatively small counter. Only like $10,000-$20,000. I need to spend days selling.
It's true. It's
terrible.
I put the sell on that. Why
then 1 week later.
It's there lah. Never move. But the US market,
right?
you didn't move. Right?
Then 1 week later, I get a trade alert. It's like, when did I do this? It's absolutely ridiculous. So the more liquidity we can put into the market, I think, and it also helps achieve our national goals, the better.
That calls for a discussion. Yeah, I will not extend that discussion here, but thank you, appreciate it. Yes, so you've stayed to the end. I got a few fun facts for you just to wrap up the discussion. I think one of it is that MTI is getting its non-operating budget. That means development doesn't run OPEX, not the normal day-to-day operation. They're going to double their budget, right? So from 4 billion to 9 billion, 4.5 something to about 9 billion. Okay, so I am very interested to see what they're going to do with this bigger budget, extra $4 billion, what you're going to spend on and what is your investment,
What's your prediction?
Yeah, I don't know. So, because the few things is tax incentive, JTC land, right? Co-investment, those are the few things, right? So I don't know what other fanciful, interesting things that MTI can come up with. I look forward to that. Okay, but the most interesting one, because I deep dive to the whole budget, right? I realized that in the past 5 years, the Ministry of Manpower, right, led by MOM Tan See Leng, right, they actually cut their OPEX from 4 billion to 1.2 billion. Okay, so there's a 75% reduction in operating costs for that ministry. Everyone else is an exponential curve up. Okay, linear lah. Okay, not expo lah, right? Everybody is going up, but he managed to cut it down by 75%. True a businessman. So I don't know what's going on inside. Would love to hear, what's going on, but I think it shows that there is room for some optimization, for some operational, efficiencies.
When you can push everything to the tripartite, then no problem solved lah. You don't need OPEX.
Okay, how? Mr. Tan, we love to talk to you. Like, what have you done? Right?
So MTI increased budget came from MOM.
Yeah, it came from MOM. Truth of the matter is, on the ground, people always say that the bureaucracy is very fat, right? So there's a lot of layers and all that. But is it true? We need how do we measure,
own Doge.
right? So it will be interesting to see if Mr. can go to other ministry and do the same, cost cutting exercise. And this is not to say that I believe in small government or all that. No, it's not about big or small government, right? That is the fallacy and false dichotomy in the West. It's really just about whether the government is effective, for the cost that you pay, and if we can manage that cost expansion, from a governmental standpoint, then maybe we can tax less, right? So not so gangko, from everybody. We can still tax the company, never mind, right? But amongst the people, there can be some relief, Yeah, give them vouchers, whatever. Okay. Anyway, we never talk about vouchers because already over the internet and you already know. Okay, so yeah, shout out to Minister Tan See Leng. We hope to see you on the show. Right? Tell us what have you cut. So with that, that's that's all for the first TFC budget debate. Thank you all for risking your lives to come on to share your point of view. Adrian, give me that face like, walao it. Yeah, but it's fun, right? I hope to continue to do this. And if you have any thoughts, put it in the comment section and stay tuned for our other budget reacts. We have a lot of interesting stuff waiting for you. So that's all for today. Meanwhile, take care. Bye-bye.